Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 3:30, and I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Housing Task Force. A copy of the agenda for this meeting may be found on the county website under the tab for the legislature. I'm going to ask you to please silence all your electronic devices and phones, and please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Doreen, can we have roll call?
Absolutely. Benton.
Here.
Lujan.
Present.
Ramos. Here. Sutherland. Stasi.
Here.
Four present,
I
one.
think Legislator Sutherland may be joining us a little bit late, I'm not sure. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our third meeting of the Housing Task Force, and we're very honored and privileged to have with us today Faith Moore from RUBCO in our ongoing investigation and study of the housing situation in Orange County. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Faith Moore, our guest speaker, to begin. Faith, welcome, and thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Mrs.
Thank you
Sassy,
so
you might want to read that. Just not to stop you.
No worries.
Should she start or?
Yeah, you start.
Okay.
Oh, I was like, oh, wait, I didn't know if you needed to read it out
No,
loud.
no.
If it was.
Yeah, that can confusion to all of us.
No
Hey,
worries.
Welcome.
So thank you so much. Thank you for having me. My name is Faith Moore. I am the Senior Vice President of Housing Programs and Solutions. I like to joke around that they added the in solutions part to my job title because it's as duties as assigned. So as long at the end of the day, as long as I'm doing something with housing, I am happy and fulfilling my role. I am really grateful and thank you for inviting me. I am super excited and super charged up that Orange County now has a housing task force. So I feel extremely privileged and lucky to be sitting here at this table to have these conversations. So while I've created a little PowerPoint and I want to talk to you about some of the things that I know that both Megan and Nicole may have talked about on their last two presentations when they were here, but to kind of reiterate where we're at with the housing world, but I want this to be a conversation too. So, you know, feel free to jump in, ask questions, any of that as far as what we're facing. So a little bit about RUBCO. So RUBCO is a nonprofit housing organization that has been in existence for over 40 years, creating homes, supporting people and improving communities. We initially started out in Ulster County as the Rural Ulster Preservation Company. And as we continue to expand outside of Orange County, about 15 years ago, we went through a rebranding and we now are RUBCO Inc. So no longer RUBCO as an acronym for Rural Ulster Preservation Company, but we are RUBCO Inc. And when people ask us now what RUBCO stands for, it's excellence. We have now since expanded outside of Ulster County, and we are now working in all of the counties in the entire Hudson Valley region, but have specifically been working in Orange County since 2015, when RUBCO formed an affiliation with Orange County Rural Development, RDAC, which my family has a legacy of also doing housing here in the county. So at RUBCO, we build and preserve affordable housing. We offer HUD certified housing counseling. We administer state and federal housing programs, and we serve all 9 counties currently right now in the Hudson Valley. But we've primarily Orange, Ulster, Sullivan, Columbia, and Greene are our main focus, and Orange County is where I live, so that's why it's near and dear mostly to my heart. So most recently, myself, as well as the rest of the executive staff, have been challenged to create a performance challenge. And it helps keep us on what it is that we're looking to do. This year, I defined a personal challenge as part of our leadership work to transform RUBCO's housing programs into a unified regional model that creates more homes, supports more people, and strengthens communities, and ensuring that we have housing solutions and sustainable accessibility for everyone for housing. Orange County is a really key part in that. As you all know, it's why you're here, and that we have the need together, I think, and we have the tools. So together we can help make a difference. Currently right now, Orange County housing market snapshot. We can talk a little bit about in 2019, median home price was just under $260,000. Today, it's $430,000. So that's a 65% increase from 2018 to today. Mortgage payments have more than doubled. It was $1,170 for a mortgage payment to now $2,641 a month. Inventory of home sales is down 51%. And there's only about a 3-month supply of homes, which is well below a healthy market. Definitely, we are in a seller's market as opposed to a buyer's market. Families are definitely being priced out of the market based on their affordability.
If you can just, yeah, Paul,
Uh-huh.
yeah, go ahead, you had a
Yeah,
question. You stay on that slide, yeah.
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 Because, okay, so I hear this all the time. Well, the median income is this and it's changed from this to that and whatever. But there's never any statistics of the statistics of the homes that are sold, as in square foot, bedrooms, bathrooms, basements, what do you get for your median 430? Because, I mean, there's median, there's average, and there's mode. So, there's 3 ways to put your statistics, but nobody ever puts statistics about what housing is.
Right.
Whether it's 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom,
So that's
Like
about
that.
3 bedroom, 2 bath.
Yeah, so I'm gonna just flip to the next slide because went a little too far. Sorry. So that is a very good point. I am not prepared with being able to give you those statistics, but I think that's a really good point because so for me, a single person in Orange County looking to purchase a home, I sold in 2019 as part of a divorce, and I've now been looking to find a house that is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. I'm looking at $430,000.
Yep, that's
So that is, and I'm talking small, like under 2,000 square feet.
mother-daughter.
Yes,
Ranch.
not even a mother-daughter house.
Ranch.
Mother-daughter house, we're looking upwards of $500,000.
450, yeah.
But I will happily pull some of those
Try to
numbers
pull some.
together and send them to you because I can easily pull that together and show you what those houses look like that are being sold at that $430,000 price.
Good.
And-
Because my second part is,
Mhm.
if I believe like Kevin Darian, because we've talked about this for the last year, and he's one of the only people I ever heard talk about it besides Rob. 1-bedroom condos. They go in a heartbeat. Your young people would be able to afford them, I believe. They would be building equity rather than paying their life savings to the apartment complex owner and solve a lot of this problem.
But even 1-bedroom condos right now are close to $300,000. So while it's a little bit more affordable than a $430,000 home, but they go up so fast, before you can even get there to see it.
And I think there's also just the process of buying a house and all of the, the upfront costs that people have to have as well. Because it's not just about a down payment, it's
Oh, yeah.
so.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a
That's the
little
whole,
bit about the
that's the whole
financing.
package,
Uh-huh.
but nobody can talk about the 1-bedroom.
Correct. Listen, here's my thing too, whenever we talk about affordability and housing affordability, affordable is relative, right?
It is.
Yeah.
What I can afford may be different than what you can afford and is different than what you can afford. And I talk about this all the time is that everybody's financial situation is unique as a fingerprint. So I'll just say, I just shared, I sold my house in 2019 as part of a divorce and I was like, oh, no worries, I'll just buy something again. Okay, well, the market changed, things are different. And then now I'm like, I don't want to spend $430,000 on a house by myself because then I can't travel, I can't go out to eat, I can't do all these other things. I also just paid off my student loans. So
Congratulations.
thank you. I mean, but for me, 5 years ago, affordability is different 5 years ago than it is today.
Yeah.
And it's different where I may have student loans, you may not have student loans. We may make the same amount of money and I may have an $800 car payment and you may not have a car. It's like everybody, affordable is different for everybody.
Absolutely.
So we always talk about that. And with the understanding of what it takes to buy a house. Also is why we take a lot of pride in the fact that we have HUD certified housing counselors, because we will take everybody through that process. Whether you are on an income level that can assist with grants, we have grants throughout the region. If you were a first-time home buyer looking to purchase a home at 80% of AMI or below, A lot of times we have grants. It can be anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 to help first-time home buyers buy a house. And it's a little bit different depending on the funding source, different requirements that go along with it. But we walk everybody straight through the process from time of coming in, application, they will register for an orientation online. We will walk them through every step of the way, whether we are giving them a grant or not, because home buying is time consuming, it's frustrated. I always joke around that when you go to the closing table, you are definitely signing away your firstborn. So when we're talking about the affordability gap though, right now, the median household income in Orange County is $94,364 a year, which works out to $7,864 a month. Nationally, what is affordable for everybody, and this is again why I say everybody's affordability is a little bit different, but what is affordable to everybody is 30% of your income. So none of us should be spending more than 30% of our gross income on our housing, which really should be including our housing payment, insurance, taxes, and utilities. So the number of people in our communities and us that are paying more than 30% of our income is huge. But looking at right now what the median income is Orange County and what can be afforded at the 30% rate, it's $2,359 is what is affordable. And then right now at a median sale price of $430,000, it's $2,641 on a mortgage payment, and that is before taxes, utilities, and insurance. So that already right there is showing that there's a gap with median income. So and I really think I keep going back to your question, Lee. I'm really now excited to dive in to start looking at showing like this is what house is available at this price, and this is the family size that could fit into it, and bring some more numbers to that.
So is this household median income? Is this a one-person household or two-person?
No, it's a 4-person household is what median income is.
Meaning mother, father, or two and kids?
Could be.
Any combination of
Any
four?
combination, yeah. So, and it's very close. So this is the median household income in Orange County, but it's very close. Just if anybody has experience dealing with area median income, AMI levels. So this number is very close to the Orange County's AMI level for a family of 4 at 80% of area median income. So area median income in Orange County based on a family of 4 is $123,000. That's a family of 4, 100% AMI. But then the family of 4, 80% is, I think it's like 96.4. I will double check on that. But this is very close to what it would be for a family of 4 at 80% AMI. That family of 4 at 80% AMI would qualify for some of our first-time homebuyer grants if they were looking to purchase a home. Just so that everybody is also aware, first-time homebuyer, obviously, if you've never owned a home before, that makes you a first-time homebuyer. But then also if somebody sold their home as part of a divorce, that could be, they could be considered a first-time homebuyer again for that reason. Sorry, I kind of went ahead on my slides here a little bit. I dropped my notes. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. So we talked a little bit about the affordability gap, which then means who's being left out, right? Our first-time home buyers are being left out because that 5% down payment on a median home that
That's my point.
exactly totally exceeds. Back in 2019, that 5% was a lot less than right now at the median home price, $21,000. You have to come up with down payment. Yes.
I thought banks required 10%, or is it 5% with PMI?
5% with PMI. And mortgage products, that's another really great thing about working with housing counselors, whether it's with our agency or there's some other agencies around. I accidentally did something that it's showing, it's typing, you see what it's doing? It's typing on my screen.
It's going ahead. Yeah.
Well, if Owen sees this, he can come in and fix it. If not, I don't mind at all. It's just, it's talking, see how it's recording.
I think your
Transcripts.
I think your microphone is on, because what I showed Rob before was Kathy Stiganga was watching the video and she could hear what we were saying before he even pressed the button, because I think your computer is catching and translating onto
Okay.
the screen.
My. Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, just a quick
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
yeah,
So-
please.
just going back to the affordability gap portion, which I think is such an important part of of like the concept of what we're struggling with. And you had mentioned the part about the condominiums and so one of the things that has been thrown around for the last couple of years in particular is the notion of habitat, rock culture, groups like that, creating creating condominiums that are for affordable home ownership for communities that need it the most. And we can see, for example, the single family home model, it works to an extent, but it takes a long time, they're very costly. It also doesn't necessarily meet the communities that we need that are also lacking. The first time home buyers, the city of Newburgh, for example, the population, about 50 to 60% of them are under the age of 35. These are individuals who can't necessarily afford the habitat model. They can't necessarily afford some of the houses that are on the market. They could, however, afford a model that could be created by either or Habitat or so on for affordable condominiums, and who are not looking for 4 or 5 bedroom houses, but are looking maybe for a campus or a community of housing. And so seeing that, I think, is definitely something that I'm always very interested in hearing about. So yeah, I just wanted to echo the comment about
we've talked about
condominiums.
this for some time.
And the deep need, because it's going to impact that those first-time home buyers who cannot afford, not here, like they cannot buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, nor do they really want to necessarily.
I agree with you 100%, and that is one of the things that I'm so super charged and glad that have this task force and you guys are doing these investigations to be able to bring these. We need zoning that allows it to happen. We need regulations that allow it to happen. The state, I'm so happy that we live in a state where there's all these opportunities for funding to be able to put out. Our partners at New York State Homes and Community Renewals, and the governor has really said this is housing is important, and it's not just one type of housing, it is housing for everyone, right? So which is really important, and I totally agree with you. The smaller Adam Bosch would say with Pattern for Progress, when they do their reports, they talk a lot about that family sizes are getting smaller than what they used to be, which is why it's having an impact on our schools and our elementary schools. There's not enough kids as there used to be, so we're having some issues with our schools, but it's because families are getting smaller. Many families are having 1 child as opposed to 3 and 4, so they don't need the 4-bedroom homes, they don't need the 3,500 square foot homes. So they are looking for 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condos and those type of things to be able to build. So as I was saying, it leaves out our first-time home buyers. It really leaves out our seniors that are looking to downsize, because now they are in this 4-bedroom house that they've lived in with their family for so long and they have nowhere to go. Wait lists for affordable senior housing are 3 to 5 years long, just the same as the wait list for affordable rental family housing are 3 to 5 years long. And renters and small landlords are really trying hard to keep up because there's just not enough. Rents are increasing just as much as home prices are increasing. It's really hard to find a place that you're not spending more than 30% of your income on housing. So we're always looking ways to partner with communities, partner with counties, partner with the state to be able to get funding out there to build and to create this home. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when my father's house burned down, he was very lucky in Gardnertown, town of Newburgh, to find a 1-bedroom apartment condo, that he could rent, overlooking like the Mid-Valley Mall area. So he was very lucky to get that.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is very easily something that you could create cluster development with bonus density.
Absolutely. Kevin O'Connor, who's our CEO, if he was sitting here right now, would be saying that it is his dream to create what he calls a little cottage community. And he says that cottage, but small, 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom homes that you own, and you own the home and you have this little community, and maybe then there's some open space and, different things. But yes, totally agree. Condo, little cottages, all of those different things.
Tiny home type concept.
Exactly.
I've seen that from vets, I think it was in Texas and a few other places.
So one of the programs that is really near and dear to my heart that we are administering to REPCO, I'm very proud of the fact that we have $17 million to put this money out into 4 counties. So I'm really excited, but it's the +1 accessory dwelling unit program.
I love that.
I love it too. Some of you know, or those of you that are listening may know, my mom was Alice Dickinson. She was always a huge champion for affordable housing all across Orange County. And back in 2010, I very vividly remember her talking in front of I'm not gonna call them out because I don't want to pick on anybody, but talking in front of a town board about the importance of them adopting some zoning to allow accessory dwelling units. And initially, it wasn't well received, but a couple years later, they finally did adopt some zoning to allow accessory dwelling units. And then now here I am, 15 years later, and I'm putting $17 million into helping people with grants. We're able to help with $125,000 grants to help homeowners in Orange County that are to build an accessory dwelling unit on their property. And it could be anything from converting a existing garage into an apartment, putting a second floor in the apartment upstairs, converting a basement into an apartment, doing an addition, any ways to do an accessory dwelling unit, we have money that can help them do that. The requirements of this program is that they have to be at 120% of AMI or below. One of with some problems that we are finding and ways that, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, but one of the problems that we're having is that we live here in the East Coast. We don't have state accessory dwelling unit laws like other states do. And each municipality has different zoning and rules, and some allow it, some don't allow it, and I understand. I wouldn't want, if I was completely in charge of a municipality, to say, yes, I want everybody to build an accessory dwelling unit, because our infrastructure could not hold that and could not handle it. But to be able to have zoning that allows it to happen in certain areas would be very beneficial. It helps create a unit so that there's somewhere else to go. It helps our seniors so that they have an opportunity to downsize. It helps intergenerational housing. So that's one of the programs that I'm really proud of. Another one that I'm really proud of that we operate here in Orange County is the vacant rental improvement program. That is currently right now the program that we are operating across 9 counties in the Hudson Valley. But that is to help a small landlord who has a building that has 5 units or less in it, that may have a unit that is vacant for whatever reason that it's vacant and it needs repairs. We can offer them up to $75,000 to do the repairs on that unit. In return, for $75,000, they agree to rent it at a 60% AMI level, or for $50,000, it would be an 80% AMI level for 10 years. So that helps the landlord get their unit back on the market. They're able to start collecting the income from that. And it also helps our community, because now we don't have a vacant unit and we have more places for people to go. As you were saying, Lee, with your dad, he got lucky to find a place, but this is an opportunity to help them. And then also the Targeted Home Improvement Program, which is what we are operating currently in the city of Newburgh. Also another one that I am really, really proud of in Newburgh, offers $40,000 worth of repair money to homeowners that are making 80% of AMI or below. And as we talked about how many of us are paying more than 30% of our income, this is a situation where many people have had to make decisions between fixing the leak in the roof or putting food on their table. So obviously they choose to feed their family first. And now these repairs, we can come in and get these repairs done for them. So I talked a little bit about the +1 accessory dwelling unit program. The picture down on the bottom, if you look at, there's the top picture. We just, that is the start of a foundation for one of the accessory dwelling units. The bottom picture is once the unit is now already in place. We will be doing a ribbon cutting at this property on June 25th. So obviously it will look a little bit better. There won't be cardboard walking over the mud. But this particular story is also really great because the homeowner's mom has been in an assisted living facility for the last 3 years. So now this is an opportunity for her to bring her mom home to her backyard and have her mom right there. She will still need 24-hour assistance, but now she's literally right across the driveway for anything that her mom needs instead of having to go back and forth, and she can feel like she has a lot more affordability. Accessibility, not affordability, sorry.
So I would actually probably call that a single family home rather than an accessory dwelling unit. What's inside of it? Obviously kitchen, bathroom.
Yep, full kitchen, full bathroom.
Okay, so that's a
one
single
bedroom.
family home.
Agreed, but it is on a property that is zoned for single family and an accessory dwelling unit, and this particular unit is 900 square feet.
Mhm.
So New York State classifies an accessory dwelling unit a minimum of 500 square feet, maximum of 1,500 square feet. I joke around all the time and say, well, hey, I'll build a 1,500 square foot house for me is more than enough. But yeah, I agree with you. And the reason that it's considered an accessory dwelling unit is because it's built on a single family property, for the sole purpose of being able to generate either income to help with their affordability or to have their family members go into.
Okay, Faith, just to play devil's advocate now, I'm a municipality
Mm-hmm.
and I build the cottage on my property, accessory dwelling, and my mom passes away.
Mhm.
What happens to
You
this?
can rent
You
it.
can legally rent it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
So there's no requirement with this, with the accessory dwelling units from the state or as far as this funding goes that says it has to be a family member. Now, I will say, again, I'm not picking on anybody or calling anybody out, but there is a municipality who's participated in this program with us, that their accessory dwelling unit laws state that their zoning only allows an accessory dwelling unit to be rented to family members.
right.
So any of this type.
It's limited.
Yes, and other municipalities don't have those requirements, so this particular one that we're talking about now, the municipality allows accessory dwelling units. There's municipalities that allow accessory dwelling units as a right, and then they can just rent them to anybody. So as far as our program goes, there's no requirements to that, but you would have to adhere to what the individual municipality is.
Right.
So I am not gonna sit here and say, we need to have countywide accessory dwelling unit zoning and allow every municipality to do it, because some municipalities, like I said, it just doesn't make sense. And if you go and put 50 accessory dwelling units in some municipalities, it will really task their infrastructure, right? So everybody, as unique as a fingerprint is with our finances, it's the same as within a municipality. But this is one way that we can start helping with the housing crisis to aid. It's a low impact and it's a really cost-effective way. Now, when I talk about we have this grant, we can give up to $125,000. As with all grants, any of our fee comes off of the grant. But we are seeing the average cost to build a standalone unit is coming in at about $160,000. It's not the whole entire
Project.
grant. Yeah, it doesn't cover everything. So there would have to be some homeowner investment, but again, depending on what it is that you're looking to build and how you're looking to do it, not everybody needs a free standalone one. Somebody might have
Built up.
correct. We have another project that is, she has an attached garage and she's doing an addition on that and also decommissioned one of her bedrooms because of her well and septic. She had a 4-bedroom, but was able to decommission one, make it into an office according to the municipality, so that then she can build this ADU. Her costs actually came in under the entire $112,000. So then she'll rent it, and she's renting it for $1,500 a month, and she's now just increased her income so that now in her retirement she has, and there's also somebody now right next door. So yeah.
I just wanted to chime in really quick. First off, I mean, when we spoke last, this was actually one of the projects I was most excited about, so I'm so glad that you're here and all the work that you're doing. I've seen this project in other counties. I had also seen other municipalities that have in past years kind of said, yeah, we don't really want that.
Mhm.
And it never really made sense to me because like we are in the middle of a housing crisis and this is money that helps, people who are just retired, who might want to have, their church convert their garage or to create something on their land. It just feels like this is kind of an opportunity to if you have a family member who wants to live or just to help pay the mortgage. So I'm kind of curious, like, when you hear some of these municipalities saying, we don't want this, if you don't mind, just because I think that our message should be kind of unified. We think this is excellent. There's money there for it. What are some of the things that you're hearing about the negatives so that we can kind of combat that and really maybe have a message to the community saying, hey, listen, we support this. We think this is really great for our community and there's funding for it. So which is the great that you don't have to even pay for it. We have a lot of money here for you to help you create more housing in your own property.
Yeah, so I would say, if I was a town supervisor, I would, one, talk to my community. Really talk to my residents and see what it is that is gonna really help them. Cause yes, it will help somebody, a senior, somebody that's retired. It also helps, we are seeing more and more intergenerational living.
Yes.
Adult children still living home, adult children having children and living all together and helping each other out. One, it helps with costs. Two, it helps with daycare costs. It helps with college costs. It helps with all those other things. So to be able to do something like this, it will also help with that kind of situation. And then also help. So what I would say to listen to what your community, I hear a lot of municipalities say they don't want this because of their infrastructure. That is one of the big ones that I hear all the time, which is why I want to always recognize that and understand that. I think a lot of times people feel that, oh, if I'm going to allow this in my municipality, that just means everybody's gonna build one. So again, and I get it, it's fear.
Yeah,
And then there's
definitely fear.
still always going to be this perception of not in my backyard.
Yes.
Where it's, yes, I think this is a great idea. I think accessory dwelling units are a great idea. I just don't want them here. I just don't want to open my back door where I've been used to looking at your grass and now look at a building. Or what type of people are we going to be? I don't want rentals here because what type of people are we going to get here? Are we gonna have, can our fire departments handle more people? Can our police departments hire more people? I always personally laugh when somebody says, oh, we can't handle any more people in our school districts. And I'm like, wait, do you not realize that our numbers are going down? But those are kind of the things that I'm hearing. So I think, and to really be afraid of what any decisions that a town's municipality makes now can affect the next generation and the next board, right? So I think people are a little bit afraid to say, hey, we're gonna allow accessory dwelling units as right. And then all of a sudden now we have this problem and we have too many of them, how do we go backwards? So I think that's the best way I can answer that
I
question.
appreciate that,
Yeah.
thank you. I think that there's a lot of fear and I think it's great for us to make sure that we are ahead of it and helping answer those questions and helping answer those concerns because there some of them are pretty valid, the infrastructure part is really valid. But I think that part of what we're doing is also like, we want to find solutions. And so if the fear is kind of a barrier to the solutions, I think it's important for us to have that.
Agreed, and I think most, again, if I was a town supervisor or a village mayor, right, or a village manager, because I know we have all kinds of different forms of government around here, right? But if I was, I would really want to also then make a decision that is best for my community based on real hard facts. So that's why I want people to actually really listen to what their residents have to say. I think sometimes it's very easy to be out of touch with what is going on, you know, and to understand what our neighbors are going through. I mean, I say it all the time, you walk into ShopRite and somebody literally is having a, you know, not being the nicest person in the world. You know, my reaction is always, what is it that that person's going through, as opposed to just, oh, people are so frustrated, right? Because we don't know what our neighbors are going through. We don't know. Childcare costs. I cannot believe how much it costs to my 4-year-old granddaughter, what it costs my daughter and son-in-law to send her to daycare. And then finally, then she was in pre-K, what that costs, and then before care and after care and all that other stuff. So yes, those are all. Lee, you had a question?
Well, just full disclosure, I mean, if I had done the vote thesis, I'd have my SREA designation from when I worked for my grandfather. But what I see with this is completely different than your basic mother-daughter, where someone takes the downstairs playroom and garage and converts that into an apartment. It's all within the same footprint of the original house and less offensive than this alternate, auxiliary dwelling unit where you're actually building a new single-family house. That's my personal opinion, but then that's maybe because I know a little bit too much from my real estate experience.
Yeah, agreed. And we are seeing, so like I said, there's some that were like that where you're building a separate dwelling. There's some where they have a 2-car garage there already and they're converting that into an apartment or putting one upstairs to utilize that space. So I agree. I think one of the other things though that I love about where we live is that each municipality does have has their own board and can make their own decisions, so that we're not saying, hey, this is what you have to do and this is how you have to do it, but allowing each municipality to make their own decisions. What I can say though is New York State, with this funding that we have, I have $4 million to spend specifically in Orange County. When their requirements to me is that they want us to have a support letter from a municipality that says we support this in our community. It does not mean you are guaranteeing a building permit, doesn't mean you're guaranteeing how many of them are gonna be built there. They just wanna say, yep, we have zoning on our books that allows this to take place in our community. We support Repco soliciting applications here. And if somebody applies that fits all of the criteria with the income and all this other stuff, they support it. Without that letter, I can't review applications for that municipality. So when we put our first application into the state to get the $4 million, I only had 2 municipalities sign on. Since I have had 2 more municipalities say, yep, we support this, and it's a lot of talking on my part to remind them that this is not a guarantee that you're saying that you are going to approve every building permit that comes in. It's just that it supports it. It would really, really help me. I have 5 other municipalities in Orange County that residents have already submitted applications to me from that have not given me a support letter. So what would really help is if municipalities would consider this. Zoning is already on their books. So if they would consider writing that letter of support so that we can vet their property, we can make sure that it's feasible and all of this other stuff, though, that's one thing that I think you
Yes.
can help with.
Absolutely.
You know, as opposed to saying you should do it this way, that's one thing that you can really help with.
Yeah, because you still have to comply with setbacks and side yards.
Yeah.
Exactly. You would still have to comply with all of the zoning and everything that is there. It's just the support letter is that you are allowing us to review an application.
Faith, we have
Yeah.
our Deputy County Executive, Harry Poor, has a question.
Good to see you.
No, I knew your mom.
I
She
know.
was a wonderful woman. She'd be very proud of you today.
Thank you.
What I wanted to suggest is that what we're looking for as the ideal scenario already existed. It exists in the city of Newburgh, in a 6-block area called Colonial Terrace.
Uh-huh.
And it was built in 1918 for shipbuilders down on the waterfront, it was a big industry.
Yeah.
Why isn't that model, which has apartments, single family, 1 bedroom, it has 3 bedrooms, 1 separate owner occupied buildings. It has green spaces, it has
Absolutely.
tennis court. Why isn't that
Yeah.
model replicated in Warsaw, Orange County?
I forget.
Well, I mean, I think it's 1, funding, and 2, municipality, right? So we will always go anywhere that somebody wants us to come and build, right? And a lot of times where it's really hard to build these smaller projects, and when I say 25 units, that's not really small, but it is smaller as opposed to an 80 or 100 unit because of the tax credit and the way that it is to be able to get the funding to be able to bring it in. But I think projects like that are exactly what we need.
It's 100 years old and it's still
Yeah,
thriving.
exactly. So I think those are I agree with you. Let's find me
Is
more
that your
space
district?
and I'll find the money.
So no, but no, it's hers, but to her, to his point,
Yeah.
that's exactly what we've been talking about is.
Exactly.
Right.
Is, Habitat, and not just,
No, it's okay.
Habitat has recently is working on one in the town, Newburgh, it's 10 units.
Yep.
Right? That's great. That's
Recap's
not what-
working on a small
Recap
unit.
is-
Yep. Mhm.
But the reality in Dutchess County, their Habitat is doing something kind of similar. I think it's in Syracuse and Albany, they did something much bigger, I think it's like 60 units. We'd like to see something, to your
Yeah.
point, that's, that has a park, that has apartments, that
Yep.
has green space, that we can use affordable housing funds, that the New York State has a lot of funds that they wanna give away to be able to make these projects. And then target the community members that can't qualify for the single family, even through Habitat, but can qualify through condos. So I'm.
Yeah,
So on
100%.
Blue in the Face, I'll talk about how I'd like to see those kind of projects.
Kevin would be laughing at me right now. He's like, I put you on a moratorium because, I'm always bringing in new programs, bringing in new
We want
programs.
that program.
But same thing, find us the property and a municipality that wants us there and is willing to work with us. And I'm not saying work with us,
That's the key.
correct. And I don't mean that, and then another problem, to get to when you were asking like where are some of the barriers, another barrier that we find too is when you're coming in and you're building this type of housing and it's vacant land now, and I'm just gonna use easy numbers. Let's just say the municipality is getting $5,000 a year in taxes for this large parcel because it's sitting there empty. And then we wanna come in and do 25 units of housing, and we found the funding to be able to do it, and this is how we can get it built, and then this is the the income that's gonna be able to go in, and we have 40 years of property management. We're able to manage the property and go forward, and we will need a payment in lieu of taxes. So not saying we are still paying, but as built, let's just say it would be $100,000 a year in taxes. We're asking to say, hey, give us a pilot, a payment in lieu of taxes where we're paying $50,000 a year as opposed to what the assessed would be, so that then our numbers work so that we can operate for the next. I think people hear that all the time because of the name of it. It's called a payment in lieu of taxes. People always mean that, oh, you're not paying taxes. But no, you're paying more than what you're getting now, but not as much as it would be if it was at a full assessed value. So messaging and people understanding what that is. So that, because people automatically hear like, oh, well, you don't want this if you're not gonna be paying taxes.
I think part of the just to go back a little bit
Mhm.
to Harry's question and Lee, I think part of it is just the reality is the profit, right? And the fact that developers nowadays are not, I mean, there's a lot for, just in the city of Newburgh alone, I think there's around 7 housing projects in the pipeline, one that's actually soon to be completed. They're by September, they're expecting to be able to start having residents. But not one of them is, you know, condominium or townhouses or anything, they're all apartments. And I think the bottom line becomes about profit for developers, and so I think, I don't know, but I think part of it is, I'd be curious to know, and like in terms of tax credits and things like that, what does it look like for those kinds of projects, right, where you're selling these homes as opposed to just apartments? I don't know that you have the answer to that, but you know, because I've had these conversations with developers and they're very honest about the fact that it's not as profitable for them.
It's not.
And that's why they
It's
don't
not.
do
That's why
these
they don't do it.
projects.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll just give you an example, right? So we, between East End 1 and 2 in the city of Newburgh, Rupco has developed and created 200 units of affordable rental housing in the city of Newburgh. The amount of money that is owed in back rents is astronomical. The amount of money that it costs to have to evict, and we do not want to evict anybody. That's not why we create housing. We don't create it for that reason. But the cost to have to go through eviction for somebody for continued lease violations or for owing us upwards of $20,000 also adds to that and makes it hard as well. So there is, and then paying staff to do all of the collection, there's not money in that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, oh yeah, we're making all of this money by creating this housing. We're not. We're creating the housing for doing that. But to also put it in terms of, so if you say 10 2-unit homes, so they're rented, right? So there's created 20 units, so it's 10 properties, 2 units in each one. Essentially, maybe between the rent, after you pay for maintenance and all these other things, maybe you're making like, I don't know, $10,000 a year. Let's just say that, like pure profit above and beyond expenses. We have a project that we're doing where we took 9 vacant properties from a tax foreclosure so that we can rehab them and sell them to first-time home buyers and utilize some of the funding so that we can put subsidy into it. So we're selling them to an income level that is affordable to 60% AMI. So based on the community that we're selling them in, these sale prices are gonna be like $130,000, $150,000. So it's affordable. At the end of the day, we're getting a 15% developer fee, but we're putting at least $400,000 into each home to rehab them and then putting this subsidy into doing it. So when it sounds like, oh, we're making a 15% developer fee, it sounds like we're making a lot of money. But we're not, right? But so when you compare what you're selling to home buyers and what you're renting at affordable, it's the same. So yeah, exactly. I love the conversations and the questions because I love that we're sitting here with a group of people that have already been having these conversations.
One last thing. So, also, a 5 or 10% pilot, 5 or 10% is better than 0.
Exactly.
Okay, so they do this with warehouses and such like that. The only thing is, if you get a pilot and you leave after your 10 year and you're supposed to be paying full taxes, if you move and decide to build something bigger or move like Medline did, well, guess what? You need to pay back
Yeah.
all of the
Callbacks are
taxes.
important.
Yeah, I don't know
That's-
anything about
that's-
warehouses
that's-
other than
that-
I need enough I need housing for
Oh,
all of these workers to be
that-
able to live in.
That's that's my personal opinion,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
goes along with pilots. But my question really was, so how does an assessor see this accessory dwelling unit freestanding building?
Yeah, so there's some code, and some legislation, it's 421. I don't know, don't quote me, it's
That's
either
okay.
421B or 421P, so the first $200,000 of assessed that the home would go up
Mhm.
would not be added on to their taxes.
Hmm.
So a municipality has to sign on to that though, so it's not just an automatic state,
Right, okay,
but they
that's what I'm
can.
saying, this
correct.
is,
Cause so now I have a home and let's just say my assessed value is $200,000. And then I now build this accessory dwelling unit and they up my value to now $400,000.
because it's an income property.
Exactly, and because now your taxes just went up so much, so they can then take that away to not be.
Because it's an income property.
Agreed, 100%. Yep. City of Newburgh, the THIP program, I mentioned that briefly, $40,000 worth of repairs, that's a $5 million program, we're about 75% allocated in that program, so if you know anybody in the city of Newburgh that needs repairs, send them our way.
What's the max for them to, like, income the
80% of area median income, so a family of four, as I was saying, is right about $96,000 that they can make to qualify, and it's a $40,000 grant. So $35,000 of direct assistance that can going to get the work done with them. We help them go through my staff will come in, do a work scope and a cost estimate to determine the work that needs to get done. We send it out to bid to local contractors. That's another way that can be helped. I am always looking for qualified contractors that have workers' comp and general liability insurance. In all areas, I need people that are certified in lead, I need MWBEs, I need plumbers, I need electricians, I need general contractors. So that's another way that can be helped.
And asbestos.
Oh, absolutely. We work with them, we do the work scope, we send it out to bid to the contractors, we require that we get 3 estimates back. Homeowner chooses who they want to work with. Contract is signed between the contractor and the homeowner, we just disperse the money, but we also help them, because a lot of times people have owned their home and really haven't had to do much of this. They don't know what it's like. They don't understand why a contractor needs to have workers' comp. They don't understand why I have to replace the carpet if I'm pulling it up to do the subfloor, different things like that will help them work through that. Vacant rental program, I also mentioned that briefly, that's $5 million against the whole Hudson Valley region to bring 80 units back into service. Orange County thus far in applications, we haven't actually awarded any of this money right now, we're in an open period so that I can do a prioritization. I have about 36 applications. And Orange County has the most number of applications. So I'm actually really happy about that because then that's the most number of units that we can get back out here into the community. So what can municipalities do, right? Say yes to housing. And again, that does not mean by saying yes to this specific kind of housing because we need all housing. We need housing for everyone. Our state has a lot of pro-housing resolutions. I know there's a number of municipalities here in Orange County that have signed on. Streamline permitting to be able to do projects as we were just talking about, these smaller projects, streamline some permitting to be able to do that. Come to us, we are willing to come to the table and talk to any municipality that wants to build housing and any type of housing. We are happy to come, so invite us to come to the table and have those conversations, provide letters of support and align zoning policies to match the housing need. A little bit about my team because there's absolutely positively no way that I would be here right now without an amazing team of people that I work alongside and work with, but we do construction management, environmental review and compliance, fiscal oversight of projects, HUD certified counseling with over 4 decades of experience. I did mention our affiliation with Orange County Rural Development that happened in 2015. In 2023, we affiliated with Rural Sullivan in Sullivan County, and Rural Sullivan is now also administering the Sullivan County Land Bank. We also would not be anything without our partners. We work very well and very often with RECAP. We work with the City of Newburgh Community Land Bank. A number of their properties that have sold in this last year, all were done so with $40,000 grants that we were able to provide. We work closely with Pastone because in those situations and with the county, Pastone does some of the housing counseling. We come in with some money. So, you know, with our team and our partners, that's really, you know, really important. Yes.
Are they full-time, part-time, volunteers?
My staff?
Yeah.
Right now we have about 109, we're going at 109 full-time staff.
Wow.
I have additional per diem and part-time staff, but the majority of our staff are full-time.
Wow.
I have 6 positions and I am gonna be posting another one tomorrow. We have that are open throughout the region, some in the Orange County offices, some in Kingston, but we have offices in Kingston, Monticello, Walden, and Newburgh. But all right on our website, repco.org, all of our programs are there and all of our opportunities for our staff are there. But you know, every unit counts, right? We know, and here's the thing, we know it's not just about the units and for creating a unit, but it's also about people. Every unit we create, somebody has a safe, decent, and affordable place to live.
Faith, couple of things, because I'm gonna have to excuse myself in about
Yep.
12 minutes. Thank you very much for being, this has been extremely informative. I
Yeah.
think we all agree.
Fantastic.
There's so many things that you put out. We probably should have you come back at some point down the road here.
Yeah,
But
if you accept community members, I'm happy to join your
No, well, I
task
mean,
force.
yeah, we can look into that. I just want to go back to that slide real quick.
Yeah,
And
which one?
again, you know, my other hat as a realtor.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned to you, you know, when I was a young teacher, and I started out, my salary was $16,000 a year, but I was able to buy a 2-family home and rent one part out, pay the mortgage and the taxes, and afford to live.
Mhm.
These numbers today, which are excellent, you provided us with, it's impossible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Kevin Darian, legislator Lujan had mentioned, you know, look at the average age in Newburgh, that young buyer. And to me, as a realtor, I feel bad to your numbers here when someone says to me, well, you know, and I said, well, you want to buy a house, you know, Dennis, you want to buy a house, what's your number? Well, I can go up to 400,000. Well, in 2019, that was a great number.
Uh-huh.
Today, it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
And you say, wow, how can that be? I provide everybody with an article
Yeah.
here too. This is not just a Orange County problem, we all know that, it's not just a New York State, it's not only New York, but the whole United States, it's the whole world. There's such a shortage of housing. We continue to be suburbia to the New York metropolitan area, which puts further pressure, right, Faith, on our market and the
Absolutely.
job you're trying to do. And we're all as elected officials and Orange County legislators, how do we make it affordable for our folks that are here? Genesis just bought a home and, you know, talking to her, I mean, it's a struggle and I see it with people, especially younger people, or on the flip side, you mentioned the seniors,
Mhm.
where a senior will call me, say, we want to sell our house, it's time to go. We'd like to pick up a little ranch for 200,000 or 300,000. It doesn't exist. There is no plan B. But then we look at accessory, the ADUs, and the municipalities are, we don't want that here. Yet, I don't know this answer, it's something I guess we could look into. How many municipalities in Orange County do allow the ADUs? And to what extent? Now, I know I live in the town of Crawford. Crawford does allow ADUs, family members only.
Correct.
So I have seen in my real estate dealings where that 2-car garage has been converted into a 1-bedroom apartment for mom who's a widower or dad. And okay, mom or dad is in their 80s and they're living with us, they're here, that's legal. But what happens, you know, when mom or dad passes away, that cannot legally be rented in that municipality.
Exactly.
So that becomes a problem. So, yeah, I mean, this is you know, wonderful information. How can someone that's struggling to become a homeowner, and again, we've all talked about this, and I'm big on this, that you look at our population, especially the minority population.
Absolutely.
They can't build equity, which means they can't build wealth. So they're perpetually paying rent
Mhm.
to the landlord.
Yep.
And this goes back to the one bedroom unit, whatever, you know, we need to help folks build equity and build
Absolutely.
wealth. And it's, whether it's through that one bedroom condo or two bedroom townhouse, you know, that's not more apartment buildings, which are okay for people, but you know, we want people,
Yes.
no matter what walk of life, hey, listen, here's an opportunity, build some wealth.
Yeah.
You can sell it. I mean, when I bought that two-family as a young teacher, I eventually sold it and I made a profit, and then I bought something else.
Mhm.
Then I got married and I sold that, made a profit, and I bought
Yep.
something else. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah, agreed. So I always say to everybody too, marry the house, date the rate, right? Cause
Yeah.
I hear too, like, oh, I don't wanna buy now, it's a 7% interest rate. My mom bought her first house, it was a 19% interest rate.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember her telling me that, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I couldn't comprehend it. But now I'm like, yeah, and you are 100% right. We need that. That's why we are doing these projects where we're working with land banks, why we're doing them ourselves. We're trying to renovate these homes so that we can sell them to people that are at an affordable AMI rent or below. People that live and work in our community, so that they are our neighbors, to get them transitioned out of rental and into home ownership so they can start building that equity. And again, as I mentioned, find us communities that have land that they want to do these small, maybe 10 townhouses, you know, together, so that we can sell these townhouses, these little smaller things. There is money in New York State to put into building these types of projects. We just need the municipalities that want them there.
So one other quick question.
Mhm.
Now, Rupco services a fairly large area, as you
Mhm.
mentioned. Can you legally give preference to the area that you, its residents that you service? Or we see apartment complexes being built or housing complexes being built, as a realtor, I'm a licensed realtor, I can't discriminate and say, well, I don't want people from New York City to come up and gobble up when we're trying to help folks in Newburgh, let's say, that are 35 years old. Hey, listen, let's get you into a condo or a townhouse, but it gets scooped up from someone outside the area. No offense to people from outside the area,
So
but
we can't, like
Yeah.
Rupco can't, I
Right.
can't build a project and say, oh, only these people
from
can live
Orange
here, but
County or
these
from
people cannot.
Sullivan, yeah,
However, one thing that I can say is some municipalities, have adopted preference policies.
okay.
And based on their preference policies, and we have shot that up through New York State to make sure that it passes with fair housing, and they are fine with it. I don't think he'll be upset with me, but Mayor Noble is very progressive in the city of Kingston with the housing that he does, and they have a really good resident, preference policy. And again, don't quote me on it, but it is really based on, they get points for if you live in Kingston, there's a certain number
Yeah,
of points.
right.
If you work in Kingston, there's a certain number of points. If you've lived in Kingston in the last 2 years, and then there's also
Yeah.
something, and I think it's, if you're a victim of domestic violence, there's also a point
Yeah.
for that. So that it's helping, so then anyway, with this preference policy, there's points. And then when you're looking to go, so there's a project that we are involved in right now there, where there will be building 15 units of condos. And then we're gonna sell them to 60% AMI based on that preference policy. So everybody will get scored, we'll verify their income, so yes, but the municipality would have to have that. So we couldn't do that.
Policy.
Yeah,
I've read about
exactly.
like a point
Mhm.
system, yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
Just really quick, because I know we wanted to wrap up, you know, I know that one of the other things that we've seen other counties do is providing funding for these kind of bigger projects and having, and one of the things that you and I have talked about at length over the years is having a fund, a foundation fund for projects like this to be able to tap into and make it easier for actually getting this thing down the road. Whether it's $2 million or $10 million with the surplus that we have generated as a county, this seems like an investment. When we're talking about pilots, it's an investment in our community. It's not really that you're not paying taxes.
exactly.
It's saying 10, 20 years, we're gonna invest in affordable home ownership.
Correct.
And this, I think, is also part of it, of creating a fund that really says, hey, listen, we're investing in you, we're investing in our community, we're investing in affordable home ownership, not just because if we know that affordable home ownership is the way we want to go more of, well, then we need to provide funding for it. And I think that that's probably the area we're struggling to provide the
Right.
most funding for. So
Well, like the 5% down, 21,000.
Exactly.
Gotta be able to
You know,
make it work.
When I would meet with people at Realtor, do you have any money to put down? Like, I got 5,000, it's not gonna
It's not
work.
gonna work.
So can there
And-
be a fund that says, hey, we can give you half of that 5% to help you own that home, something like
Mhm.
that, yeah.
Or to do acquisition rehab
Yeah.
type things, you know, you can get a home for way under the $430,000 median price because it needs $100,000 worth of work.
Mm.
So then maybe there's a rehab program or something that, you know, there could be some stuff like that. Again, I wouldn't recommend handing a first-time homeowner $100,000 and saying, here, fix your house.
No.
But through partnering with one of the nonprofit organizations, there's ways that, you know, potentially we can do that. And I know you had a hard stop at 4:30. I just wanna say
Yeah.
thank you again
So,
for letting me be here.
I'm just gonna end the meeting, but we can stay, and talk. I have to run, but I'm
I
gonna
gotta
call the
run too.
meeting.
Thank
to another-
Thank you for moving it to
But
3:30.
I'm gonna talk to Faith, I'm gonna do a follow-up, but
Yeah.
if you guys wanna continue talking, go ahead, but I'm gonna call for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
All right.
Faith, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And